Uh, what I'm going to show today, I hope brings a lot of value, just because I've talked with hundreds, almost well over a few hundred, almost several hundred software engineers, investors, startup founders, very engaged in online communities, and I will say, actually, surprisingly, this is today, what you're going to see is a little glimpse into the future. It is the most in-depth and exclusive guide on how to build AI agents from the ground up that I've seen at this point thus far. And I've actually seen some courses by, barely practitioners, non-practitioners off of this, something like this for sometimes several hundred to over $1,000. I'm just so happy this can be presented like through Founders Bay. The word can get out. A little bit about why we're presenting. I don't do consulting. I don't do classes. I'm not doing this for money. I actually I started going to the community just a handful of months ago. I love Founders Bay. We both love Founders Bay and what Women's Founders Bay stands for. There needs to be more women in tech, more diversity of opinion and perspective. I'm also noticing a trend where everybody believes a certain way about technology, AI agents. And so this will I really hope actually this will help with the investor ecosystem, so that maybe boom and bust cycles don't happen as dramatically, where investors can move forward well informed. And then number three, I'm actually anticipating soon in my startup, KingdomStates.ai, we very well might need an army of AI agent engineers up and coming, of which few people thus far are equipped, ready, and able to hit the ground running. So hopefully bringing this out, connecting with you guys, showing a little love, this will kind of come back to me. So a little selfish on my end, but I really hope this brings value to so many people in the community, and I'm super excited. So anyway, my co-founder, Chinomsno, actually is on right now. He is truly a world-class full stack engineer. He has several of his own web app and multi-platform mobile apps and web apps, high level AWS certifications, Google AI Vertex product certification and training, and is just a stickler for the details and high energy. So he's going to be going into more depth on the infrastructure side. And me, I was, considered by some to be a pioneer in the AI agent engineering space. Been building AI agents since 2022, like actually full time building them. I was asked to consult for Costco on an AI agent, up and coming AI agent engineering division. Am a technical advisor to a few startups, and have been several years as an owner and operator in the vacation rental property management industry with my own company, owning and operating it, and a successful exit as well. So hopefully, with this background, I can kind of uncover, kind of unpeel what's happening in the AI agent space. To start, I'm going to start with the definition of AI agents. Now, I want to caution everybody. I have heard now quite literally over 20 very bold and confident definitions of AI agents at this point. I think we might have all have seen Jeremiah O. Wang's definition of AI agents, and if not, I highly recommend it. We'll go on to the next slide. But for this purposes of this communicating in this presentation, I'm going to define it today and agree with Blitzscale Ventures, Jeremiah O. Wang's fund, the definition as a much more robust system, which is an autonomous software system that can perceive their environment, make decisions, and take actions to achieve goals. often with the ability to learn and adapt over time. And you can see examples of this. I'll go over some more here in a moment. But I will argue one little fine note I have is the ability to learn and adapt over time is absolutely necessary to scale as a founder and as a startup, as we are in the founder and startup ecosystem. Now, this is very, very early stages. And if you haven't seen AI Agents, the Next Digital Workforce presentation by Jeremiah Wang, I dropped the YouTube link here. I think Founders Bay members will have a copy of this notes, but you can find it on YouTube. And Jeremiah Wang goes in, and one of the things he mentions and is brought out is that analysts actually expect, although it's a less than $5 billion market today, true AI agents are expected to be over 100, maybe up to 500 billion. And I think this is a conservative estimate of revenue market by 2031. So that's just in 4-5 short years that this is going to happen. This is going to happen cataclysmically. We're talking about disrupting one of the largest, single categories on the face of the earth, which is actually labor and service cost, manual labor and service cost, and not just existing software. So if you take a step back, you can actually imagine like Silicon Valley how fast it's grown in the last 40 years can actually be 1 or 2 order magnitudes larger. Imagine Silicon Valley or the essence thereof, being 10x or 100x all across the Silicon Valley, across the US. The opportunity is absolutely mind-boggling. And I think if I want to bring up a famous quote, and I can bring up the original author, Sam Altman recently said it again, but I believe it came from Steve Jobs, which is we highly overestimate how fast, or we underestimate how fast that technology. In other words, technology typically takes a lot longer to integrate into society, but when it does come, we highly underestimate how disruptive and how impactful it is. And that's it. There's absolutely no way to look at this today. That's exactly what's happening in AI agents. I'm going to give just a little demo really briefly, but AI agents are compound systems. They're multi-user. This is our AI agent, but there's starting to become more and more AI agents where we have a trigger. Someone comes in, like it goes back and forth with a user. A multi-user actually starts to engage other aspects of the team strategically. So it's not just one user, but multiple users. It's actually thinking in real time. So it's actually gathering information, and it's planning and it's strategizing. And if you guys also seen demos of Multion, I recommend that as well. But at this point, I hope we've seen at least 1 or 2 examples of advanced AI agents like Perplexity, OpenAI's deep research where it thinks, it steps, it reasons. This is not another specialized chatbot. I want to be very clear. These are much more sophisticated systems that take time to think. They reason. They are given actions, kind of as we spoke about before. Now, what will help us understand where we're at with AI agents today is what I've been saying, but also Y Combinator has also confirmed this majorly. Well, many well-informed podcasts have dubbed 2025 as the year of agents. There's actually very, very little content on how to build true, robust AI agent startups. And even further, there's actually few examples of true AI agent startups as well. Even still, the model infrastructure technology is shifting underneath like an AI agent startup like myself. And I can give many examples on that. We'll go into detail. But if you don't believe how early, I'm talking about inning 0. Like we are so early. then consider what Y Combinator said on November 22nd, 2024 on the Lycombe podcast. Vertical AI agents could be 10x bigger than SaaS. And I gave a timestamp there and timestamped the link. But in it actually debunks the fact that it goes into, if you were to Google search, for example, customer service AI agent, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of options today. But actually, none of them are as advanced and robust enough to actually handle the actual workload that's actually needed in in the space to, for example, take over a whole role or a call center that's going to be needed and is we're inevitably heading into in the future. They literally said in the actual podcast itself by Jared, quote, "It turns out there's only 3 to 4 startups that are attempting to even have the complex work agentic workflows that allow it to be robust enough to handle a 100-person call center, for example." And they later in the podcast they talked about the belief that hyper specialized AI agents will have the most success in the near to midterm. So this is not just what Miles is saying. This is not just what others who have looked out into the industry. I had also had thought the space was actually overcrowded, but it turns out we are very, very early innings. And everyone's talking about AI agents, but I say like few people know what AI agents are, the definition. We're all agreeing on the terms, but also few people know how to build them yet. And those that do don't really. So be careful out there. I'm actually, I'm saying this from a good place, guys. Like we are very early, and I'm actually also noticing, talking to a lot of early stage founders, some of my mentor, like they literally like are not starting. They like don't want to start an AI agent startup because they think the space is too crowded, and it could just be further from the truth. And as we know, those that kind of know the market, know the strategic advantages in a market, and know there's no competitors in a space, know that we as AI or startups in general have a far outsized opportunity to succeed compared to other spaces, probably. Another element to think about is from the tech standpoint, the model and infrastructure layer. And OpenAI, so they've developed 5-level classification systems on their progress towards AGI, artificial general intelligence. The first one is what we're all far too familiar with, which is conversational AI. I think we're on 2.5 years of almost all conversational AI. We go back and forth with a chatbot or specialized chatbot that helps us. It's a genius in a vat now, some have said, or a dumb person in a vat, where we just kind of talk to them. Eventually they'll be like Einstein, where we slip a piece of paper underneath and they give us back, the equations to what we're doing. Number 2, which is what we're recently coming into, is reasoning engines. So these are AI systems capable of solving problems on an advanced level, and they're not giving external tools yet. But looking at the experts in the industry, we all agree that from the advent of OpenAI's O1 September 2024 release, the AI model actually is actually the first example of real, true reasoning engines that has chain of thought, tree of thought actually built into the model themselves, leading to high reliability, advanced performance on many scales. And right now they're quite expensive though. But now, number 3 on the way to AGI. So on this chronological time scale, we're talking about AI agents in this slide. And the reason I bring that up is, and it was defined earlier, but AI agents actually need reasoning engines. It's not optional. It's absolutely necessary to build AI agents. And so if O1 just came out late last year, and we're starting to see finally some more viable, some more cost effective, models come into the place, AI agents today are just now for the first time able to be built from a technology shift standpoint. So we're talking about the very, very beginnings. The starting gun went off, when O1 was launched, and even still, very, very expensive models are out there. Even DeepSeek is expensive, but way, way less expensive. It's open source, so hosted in the US. Make sure to secure your customers' data and all that. But I'm telling you, right now is the most prime time to build AI agents. It's not too early. The technology is now available for the first time. It's not too late. It's definitely not too late. So I want to encourage everyone in that. Later there'll be different stages of innovators and organizations built on the road to AGI, but we're not there yet, and it's hard to imagine what those systems are. But I'm going to give some insights at this point. An AI agent, in an industry that's robust, is a totally different way to interact with technology. So this is a totally different mind shift, totally different new paradigm to think about. It's very tempting to program and fine tune every scenario for your AI agent. It's very tempting. Okay, it doesn't answer these type of questions correct, so I'm going to prompt it. I'm going to engineer it so it answers this. I've done it. I've done it for over a year, where I've attempted to do that. But there is an approaching. If you were to look on a graph, there is quite literally a long tail of scenarios that AI agents can see. And this is very much unlike standard traditional software. I want to make the huge, massive comparison of manual use systems. There's an infinite number of ways that individuals use manual use systems, but the manual use system has a static form and factor. AI agents do not. This is a totally new way of thinking about this. AI agents need to be malleable and flexible, and I'll go into that here in a moment. But the point being is, reasoning engines are so important because you inject context to an AI agent, and the AI agent properly and accurately has to reason over maybe a set of information in order to get to the intended outcome and the behavior that you want the AI agent to perform, act, and do the work for. This is totally different than traditional software in that sense. Also, totally different than the Web 2.0 era is the amount of information that comes into an AI agent. The combination of information changes for every inquiry. The needed information changes for every inquiry, and that combination actually, the number of combinations actually approach infinity. So now we're not talking about a static set of information that goes into AI agents. It's really tempting to program each scenario again, but there'll never be enough information. There'll never be enough set of combinations of information that your AI agent gets. It has to reason, and it has to decide what information to gather when. Insight number 3, the relationship between information. So how you set up your graph, or how you set up, your relational database is actually dynamic and also approaches infinity. I'll go into that more here soon, but we're actually solving, to handle an extremely wide variety of scenarios that can come in for your AI agent. So we have to understand this. We have to understand this as we build our AI agent. Insight number 4, initial information gathering makes scaling in an industry challenging. As a startup founder, as you go into the industry, and you start gathering information from your customer, you'll actually find that there is so much information. In our situation, we expect several hundred pieces of information just per property, per account, in our startup. This is the case for most. With manual use systems, you can imagine a CRM where the individual and business that uses the CRM, even the spreadsheet, these traditional softwares, they have the information in their mind. They are customizing, they're customizing the software to their needs. They're changing the settings. They're changing the automated messages that go out based on their expertise. In a AI does the work for you era, you have to obtain that information from the customer ahead of time or in real time in order for the AI agent. Although AI agents are extremely valuable, they do require a lot of information. And I'll go over that more soon too. Insight number 5, competitive advantages are more important than ever. As we know, first mover and long-term competitive advantages are important. Models are getting better and better, and technology companies are trying to swallow the world. So having deep network effects in relationship with customers are better than ever. So those are quick insights. I'm going to go over to critical concepts in the world of AI agent engineering. And if you take nothing else from this presentation, know that iterating more and more on your AI agent is more important than ever. It was always important for startups. But the only reason I was able to create an AI agent that actually works, and people are shocked at the benchmarks they're shocked at the reviews that they're able to bring in, is because it's iterated over and over again with customer feedback. I think Kingdom stays truly, the AI agent is now on the order of several hundred automated tests ran and then aggregated feedback for iterations. I think the number of iterations that the AI agent on is now above, well, it's definitely several hundred, and I wasn't keeping track, but it could be over 1,000 times that our AI agent was iterated. Now you can imagine testing this, implementing an automated analytics platform, advanced strategies that are actually necessary, like Y Combinator's talking about, are born and developed through iterating, through recognizing the bottlenecks and then overcoming those and problem solving those bottlenecks. Critical concept number 2, every customer is unique. Even if you think in the traditional software like CRM, for example, an advanced CRM like Monday or others, every customer and every business need is different, and they're actually customizing those. Oh, I see questions, guys. I should probably take questions here soon as a good starting point, because I'm going to give so much information. But in a CRM sense, in traditional software sense, every company and every individual is different, and they're customizing the software, and they're actually making the software fit to their needs. In actually the situation of an AI agent, the AI agent actually has to be malleable and actually ask for clarifying questions and actually learn how the AI agent then continues to proceed with any particular situation. So please know the uniqueness of the customer is super important, and you're actually engineering in a way that's actually customized for the AI agent itself. So much information, guys. But so I'm wondering if I can start to take questions right now. Marianne, do you think that's possible? And Chris, do you think that's possible?
Yeah, do you want me to? Sorry, say again.
Maybe if you see some critical ongoing questions.
Yeah, let me see. There's really lively chat going on here. A lot of folks
Yeah,
building and interested in agents. So let me scan through here and see. One question that came up is an AI agent similar to an AI assistant. What are some of the differences in an AI agent and an AI assistant? Is that just a semantic difference, or what's your take on that?
at this point, if yeah, I would love nothing less than like everyone to agree on terms and terminology. It would help me communicate so much. But just know these terms are changing, and I've seen terms change every month during this early era. So be careful. But yeah, you can also call AI agents AI assistants, or digital workers in a broader sense. But it's simply kind of just describing its value or value proposition or behavior.
Gotcha. Okay, so rapid fire here, a couple more. Is it better to create an AI agent that does everything or multiple small AI agents that are optimized for specific tasks? Kind of what's your take on, a big super agent, or do we have like a sort of digital workforce, a whole bunch of small agents collaborating?
Great, great question. And I am going to go over AI architecture later. Um, it really depends on your use case. I mean, really the there's so many different AI agents that are needed at this point. So many. So I did have kind of like a mixture of agents kind of model at one point. It got very complicated very quickly. Um, you can, I think, and I'll show you a model that I developed that you can actually in-house it into one technical agent. Even the definition of what is an AI agent versus what is a multi-agent system is not well defined. I've heard it defined as specializations. So if it has multiple specialization, actually technically it's a multi AI agent system. And I'm okay with running with that definition as long as we can understand each other for communication purposes. Like, um, yeah, and I'll go over architecture in a moment, but the quick answer is it really depends on your use case. But I think most agents will have multiple specializations. They or at least one system will have multiple specializations. Maybe it'll be called multi-agent, maybe it'll be called a single agent. But the point being is I think the AI agent has to be very nimble. The same AI agent that speaks to my guest also speaks to my property partners and management company, CEOs. That also speaks to my cleaning team, and each of those have different specializations, and can be considered a multi-agent framework, but in the same system anyway.
Awesome, excellent answer. So let's see. We want to leave a few minutes at the end here for the VIP folks to come off mute and to do a live Q&A. So what
Yeah.
do
Okay.
you think about rocking with the presentation?
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, and AI agents require a lot of information. AI agents require a lot of depth of knowledge. You can't just let the agent reason and decide what it thinks your industry or use case should do. You truly need to know, like that iterating I'm talking about. If you don't know what the behavior of your AI agent needs to be at the end, you will not know how to engineer it if you don't know a real depth of knowledge. If you've ever gone into someone has kind of talked about your industry, they think they know what they're talking about, they have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to your industry. Like real true experience in depth of knowledge is extremely important. AI agents require reasoning engines. I'm going to give kind of two major ideas here. Again, this is all moving and kind of new, somewhat recently coined terminology. But there's the back end of AI agents, I'm going to call AI agent architectural design, cognitive architecture, or agentic workflow design. AI agent engineering on the front end, how it behaves with the users, and interacts with the real world is called AI agent behavioral design. This is the front end interface. And this does not just have to be chat. It can be in many modalities, interact with the world, image, video, chat. This is definitely something I'm going to go over in the next workshop. This, I believe, is fundamental. And so based on time, make sure to join the next workshop. Right now, I'm going to want to hand it off to Janomsno. Janomsno is going to go over a custom implementation solution possibility. There are current items, like Crew AI, LangChain, and Zapier, which are great for MVPs. You choose how you decide to do it with your level of expertise. You can absolutely get started. Please know there are limitations on each of these, namely speed, customizability, and optimization is very challenging on these platforms. And make sure to do your research before. Right now, I'm going to hand it over to Janomsno, who's going to go over more of a custom implementation strategy. That's something more practical to set up your environment and platform before getting started.
All right. So essentially, what I'm going to talk about is how you can build a full tech stack for an AI agent product. Of course, my name is Chinam Sawars here, and I'm going to focus on leveraging Google Cloud Vertex AI platform for the backend infrastructure and also using Next.js for the front end. So basically what I'm going to cover here is how you can actually spin up a robust backend strategy using Google Cloud Vertex AI platform. And for that, I'm going to show certain specific information like what you can do right now to start. And then I'm going to talk about a performant and scalable front-end strategy with Next.js. And after that, I'm going to look at cost management strategies that you can use to implement this. So first of all, let's talk about the tech stack inventory that you need to start this up. First of all, you need some way to connect to the models or tools you want to use in building this. So for this, I'm going to just focus on using Google Vertex software development kits. There are a lot of solutions out there, but for the purpose of this call, for someone that is thinking of, okay, I want to start building right now, you can start with this. Now for the API endpoint, you can use you can build your custom API, or you can use what is already built by some providers. And in my own case, I'm thinking, okay, maybe you want to think about building on cloud platforms, or you want to build it on premises. Now, when you're talking about cloud platforms, you have solutions that you can use in AWS, that you can use from GCP, Azure, and a few other Google Cloud, cloud platforms, too numerous to mention. Now, the platform you choose to build on, whether custom or cloud, depends on your comfort level in terms of tech implementation, and also the resources that you have. If you are doing that only yourself, you would want to go with platforms that have some sort of solutions that integrate products and services that you need to build out the API backend. And for that, Google Cloud Platform excels a lot in that regards. AWS has a bunch of things that you can also use. It depends on what you want to do. And to also help set everything up, you will need to have some sort of natural language processing service to kind of like help clean up the inputs, especially when the triggers are human inputs in terms of text or speech. So, and going to the next slide. So the next thing that you have to talk about is how you want to implement your reasoning engine strategy. I'm going to use the Google Cloud platform examples. And again, my focus here is to give anyone that is on this call tools that you can use immediately to start working on whatever you want to present. So for the knowledge and representation and management, you can use the Vector's AI feature store. That will help you to store and serve machine learning features, which you need to have your product up and running. Now, you can also, for the sake of saving context and introducing them when you are having turns in the conversation or in the workflow, you can use Cloud Spanner for distributed and scalable, consistent database. Or you can use a Cloud Bigtable in the case where you are using your processing for real-time processing, like when you want your processing to be in real time. But if it is not in real time, then Cloud Spanner should be enough. Now you talk about the inference and logical reasoning part of the stack. For that, I would suggest you can just go use the Vertex AI, which is essentially a bunch of products that you can choose and pick what models, what natural language processing or natural language understanding model tools that will suit your own use case. And you can have your implementation logic on some sort of function API or a Cloud Run API. And I highly recommend that because that is where you kind of like start getting into the benefits of cost optimization, performance tuning, and those fun stuff. Now, for data flow, you can use data flow for streaming and batching of data processing, and that is when you are trying to dial into like performance, you're trying to dial into further cost optimizations. And for the RAG, you can use a RAG for the knowledge infusion, which is retrieval augmented generation. So Vertex AI search and conversation, they are very good in this regards, especially to help you ground your model in your own, ground the model that you're trying to use in your own data. And then, of course, you can always use the graph databases such as Neo4j and Janus Graph, all of them on the Google Vertex AI platform and environment that you can use for that. And for the front end, you can use I'm trying to suggest using Nest.js. And to implement that, now you have to talk about what are you implementing, how are you implementing your backend. My suggestion here would be that you go with a solution that is tightly integrated with, assuming you're going with a cloud platform, go with a solution that is tightly integrated with the platform that you are building on. So for example, you want to use Firebase. That way you have a tight coupling between user authentication, between custom roles and access policies and management, so that if you have your custom logic on a function endpoint, a Firebase function endpoint, and you want to use apply a user authentication to control access to your backend, having everything in one platform in a product from one platform is better. You can always try to incorporate solutions from different platforms. You can say, okay, for storage purposes, I want to use the products from AWS platform to cut costs or for performance reasons. But then you have to start thinking about managing roles, managing policies, and those fun stuff that you don't want to really go into the weeds, especially when you're starting to build. Now, for the web for the platforms, you can use for web, you can use React, preferably Nest.js if you plan on server-side rendering. And for mobile, of course, you can use React Native if you're a startup. You have limited resources that you want to that you have available for you to build what you need to build. Now, some of the things that you should think about in your design notes is how do you want to implement security for your users? And in that case, again, I'll go back to Google Firebase. you can always use app check to kind of like protect your backend resources from abuse. You can always use the auth to kind of like protect your users from abuse. And then you also have to think about the security of your application. How do you want to encrypt in transit and at rest? How do you want to implement those? And then you also look at the balance between performance and cost, especially when it comes to choosing your models, deciding how many turns you want in the workflow. And also, when you have a custom workflow designed in an API system, that is where you can control things like the token counts, which is where the big cost comes in. You can decide, okay, for every turn, I don't want the tokens to exceed so and so amount, as opposed to when you pick and choose just, pick and drop solutions that would just come with maybe some default non-changeable token requirements. Okay, so at this point, I would want to hand it over to Miles to discuss the next item on the presentation.
Awesome. Yeah, amazing. Chinam Snow, that's like super important how you set up your environment. I consider that the very, very, very important pillar number one in AI agent engineering, which is the AI architecture, environment, and platform. For the sake of time, we are going to go into questions. But next week, I am hoping to go over I believe it's kind of close to 9 or 10 pillars of AI agent engineering, which is really quickly, I'll go make the list: the sensor, the model infrastructure use. I saw a question on like a mixture of model diagram, some of the questions in the chat. Information retrieval, pillar number 5, hierarchy of prioritization, pillar number 6, governance, number 7, guardrails, number 8, action-based tool use, number 9, optimization, and I'm sure there's more to that list. But for the sake of time, let's go into questions, and know that next week will be more hands-on, giving kind of a suggested architecture by which to begin building.